Hi, I'm Marna. This is the Dolls Rescue Channel. Yesterday, I made my smart doll this dress based on the Hannon Pattern Book. Let me pull this down so you can see the title. Now I took my fingers out of where, where I wanted to show you. Oh, shoot. Come on. Fumble fingers. Out of this Hannon book, and what I did was, if you go back to that video, I took this pattern in the large, tried it on my doll, made some adjustments. I made the pattern longer and lower, and then I added extra darts at the bottom. And I cut it shorter. I didn't want the full length for my smart doll. So today I'm going to make this skirt underneath, which means that length needs to be adjusted to about just below that. And it's a cute little skirt. Here's a picture of it here. And there was another real cute photo of it here. Let me see if I can find it. This is a great pattern book. It's really good for the Blythe dolls. Here's the white dress with the split front lace, and then here's the little skirt. And that is from, they give you step-by-step patterns, as you can see. But I'm going to cheat it a little bit. I am doing this skirt, let's call it based on the Hannon Pattern Book.
Inspired by.
Inspired by, there you go. So what I'm going to use are the Missy Imaging, I think it's Missy Imaging's with an S.com. And there are 1/3 patterns there for BJD dolls. What I did was I took this pattern, which is the way it comes up in the pattern offerings, or what do you call it? Pattern, just the patterns. And I tried it on my smart doll, and I wanted it shorter. And because of the stand, I made it hip hugger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take the hip hugger line, and then I'm going to extend it about as far as I need. I'm going to use this gauze material, and then I'm going to cut a, I'll show you the process in just a minute, but I'm going to cut a waistband from there, and I'm going to cut that about 1 inch wide, and I always cut it longer than I need it for the pattern, and that's always a good thing to start past your fabric when you're doing it this way, and then in past your fabric. You can always cut it and fix it at the end, and that's what I do. So we're cheating the pattern a little bit, but I think it'll work out great. This is my newest smart doll, Callista. Callista is a name that means bright or intelligent, and for a smart doll, it's what I wanted. Now, I had made these skirts based on the new body, which is Genia right here, and she has the new body, what is it called? Evolve, I think it's called. And when I did the skirt for it, I did this pattern based on her stand. It worked out really well, but when I did it put one of the skirts on her, it kind of pulled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the waistline down even a little bit more so that they fit both of the smart dolls. I'm going to use the whole length of this 9x11.5 copy paper. And the reason I'm going to use the full length is because I want it to hang down past where the little dress is now. It'll come down a little further, but I'm okay with that. And we're going to scoop out the pattern lower than it is here. So that means we're going to make a wider, you can't just move this down because this is set up for this area of the waist. Now, if I cut this down further, as you can see, the skirt widens, which makes it more of a hip hugger. So we're going to move this down about quarter of an inch or so, probably just a little bit more, and then the full length, or almost the full length of our paper. And I'll need 2 pieces of paper for this. Okay, here are my patterns. Why are they so wide? Because this is a gathered skirt, not a form-fitting skirt. So I got that, and I went to get my fabric cut, and I got to tell you a little fabric story. I'm so annoyed. I was looking for muslin, which that's what this is, muslin. And I asked for it in Hobby Lobby. They showed me a cotton blend, and I thought that's not it. So I went to another Hobby Lobby, same thing. And then we went to Joann's, and they didn't have the muslin either. What they had was a cotton blend. Darren and I were walking through a different Hobby Lobby the day of, Friday, the day that we did the collab. And what do I find? Gauze. Can you believe that? So now we call it gauze, not muslin. Anyway, and the pieces are cut out. The next thing we're going to do is right sides together. And that would be this side and this side. We're going to take this to the, pin it down first and take it to the sewing machine and sew not only a seam 1/4 inch in, but a zigzag stitch right. What I do is I come down with my seam, lift my foot, switch to zigzag, and go back up. And that finishes your edge so that it won't fray so bad. So if you notice that I have odd thread, well, now you know why. Okay, so we've got our seam and we zigzagged, and then I went ahead and took my hem, folded over twice. And I do approximately 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch, and I feed that through my sewing machine as I sew, and that is my hem. As you're hemming, because we did not zigzag these as individual pieces so that the seam could lay open, we have sewn them together and then zigzagged them together. We have a seam that is one. And what you do is you push that to the back of your skirt when you sew. And then when I took my sewing machine and I put it on the tightest tension that you have, either 9 or 0 or however high that your tension goes up, put your stitches per inch on at least 4 so that your machine, my machine gathered this for me. At this point, you will want to measure your waistband. And you want it to be a little longer. Don't forget you've got the fold over and your your 2 seams. At the end of each end, stand sweetheart. At the end of each end of our skirt, when we get to that point, we are going to be folding that over on each side, at least that far. So that's going to come down to about here. Let's see. Yep, about here. So then we need approximately this much more. I'll get a measuring tape and measure that in a minute and tell you what I came up with. Now, that said, I always cut a little extra on each end to start my skirt. So we want to be sure you have that. Otherwise, your machine can fight you on it. So what we want to do then is take this skirt from the front. Now, your seams are already in, your hem is already in. It's very obvious which side is the front. Pull your gathering tails. Leave these long until you're finished. When you get ready to sew your skirt to your waistband, you want to sew from the gathering side so you can keep your gatherings straight as you sew, because underneath you could get puckers, and that's how it's going to come out if you don't have that pulled straight. I always start each end and then I pull that even, and I work my gathering so that it's even from end to end. But on the very ends, you want a little flat area because you're going to be folding that under for your closure so that it will go up over her butt and be a nice fit on the waist. Okay, so this is where we are right now. We have that sewn down, and the next thing we're going to do is finish that waistband. And the way I do it is I make a longer waistband. I line up the bottom of my waistband to that stitch, right in the ditch between the front side of the waistband and the gathering point. And then I fold that over and I sew right along that line, right where that seam is underneath is my target, so that this is hidden. And on the front side, it'll look much like that. At this point, finger press your seams. That is, if you push your seams forward and then take your fingers on both sides of that seam and work it back and forth. It's called finger pressing. And what that does is it works that fabric and relaxes it over that seam, and it will lay flatter. You can push from the underneath as you work it with your other hand, and you just kind of work it like this. And you want to do that on both sides, and your seam will lay better. All right, then you try it on your doll, and if miracles come through, you will work out right. And there's a couple things I wanted to tell you here. If it comes out a little small, do a zigzag stitch on your seam and only fold your finishing touch over once. And you're going to take that down about 3.5 inches and sew that down, both sides. And then from the bottom, you will sew up to your V's, because these will look like V's when you get there. And you want to go just past where you V'd that, just 1/4 inch or so where you V'd that area. Now, this is muslin, and you can get away with it. If your skirt did not come out right, if one side is a little longer than the other, pull as you sew that back seam, and it will all line up. And then all you have to do is add your closure. I did the waistband 10 by 3. Next time I do this pattern, I'm going to take it 11 by 4. I would like this thicker, and I really wanted it more of a hip hugger, but it worked out. It worked out just fine. I use a hook and eye. That could have been closer. That's my error with the hook and eye. And the stand went into the seam. Oh, I didn't fingerprint press that yet. Ooh, you saw me mess up. So here is my rendition of the Hannon sewing book, lace dress and its underneath skirt, tweaked up for a waving to you smart doll. Thank you for watching the Dolls Rescue channel. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.